Hi, my name is Annabelle Almquist, and this is my synopsis of Chapter 5. This chapter, LGBTQ Mobilization and Activism, talks about the activism in the AIDS epidemic, discrimination, equal rights, and protection. Some examples talked about in this chapter are the Women's Music Festival, which was created by lesbian feminists who wanted to create a vibrant women's culture, and NCTE, the National Center for Transgender Equality, which advocated for the safety and improvement of transgender lives. This chapter talks about movements that are not only for improvement and change, but movements like right-wing movements that are for limiting or undoing change that was created by previous activism. Another thing this chapter does is it separates social movements from collective behavior or short-lived spontaneous riots. It does say that riots impact and aid in movements such as the Stonewall riots, which helped propel the gay rights movement, but riots can also be due to a movement as they can impact them. They can do both. They correlate very closely. World War II is said to be a specific catalyst for the gay rights movement, which I did not know until reading about it. With the loosening of military rules on gay participation in the war, gay men and lesbians were able to connect with each other much easier. After the war ended and gays and lesbians were closer and more aware of each other, gay enclaves began being created in urban areas referred to as gay neighborhoods or gayborhoods. These neighborhoods provide support and a community for the minority. A large reason for progress in gay image was the book The Homosexual in America, which was written by Donald Webster Corey, whose real name was Edward Sagarin, which challenged the views on homosexuality and how they are sick. With the publishing of this book, more knowledge on homosexuals was given to many instead of the psychiatrists who would speak on behalf of the homosexual population. The Kinsey studies also gave information into the hands of heterosexuals and homosexuals, proving their health and normalness. Other movements included in this chapter include identity-based movements, which show the links between identity and the political orientation, along with motivation for activism, and the homophile movement, which was a foundation for the gay rights movement and began immediately after the war, post-World War II era. Other activist movements include the lesbian feminist movement, which was during the late 1960s, early 1970s, and worked for equal rights and image among women who were gay. The activism for AIDS during the 1980s, which fought for recognition of the disease. Former President Ronald Reagan did not mention the health threat or fund any research for the epidemic. The transgender right movement begun their fight with invisibility, and they continue to fight now for equality and less discrimination in the workplace, medically and in the public eye. Something interesting to me was definitely how impactful World War II was in propelling the gay rights movement, and even simply how they just brought gays and lesbians together like they had never come together before. And because of that, they were able to create safe environments, safe places where they could be with people who understood them and were like them. Another thing that was very interesting or surprising to me was how I wasn't aware of how the AIDS crisis was completely ignored by the government and the president. With all of the death and fear that was felt by the population, it's crazy how the president was able to get away with not mentioning it, let alone funding or putting any effort in research for a cure. Obviously, if something was done about it, that in the beginning, less people would have become infected and less people would have had to die, which is very sad. It's crazy to see how far we've come looking at the dates of when these occurred. they're not far off from where we are today, and they're not far off in the past, which is crazy.